As a commercial cleaning business owner, what are you supposed to do when you're facing uncertain economic times? You see, at the time of filming this, we have had tariffs announced here in the United States, and there's lots of speculation going on about, are we going to be entering into a recession of sorts, or a depression, or stagflation, all these economic terms. We're not sure how prices are going to get affected, and we've seen the stock market, the S&P 500 in particular, drop into bear market territory, which if you're not sure what that means that from its last peak, it has dropped right at or beyond 20%. So by the end of this video, my goal is to help you understand a little bit more about what's going on and how that's going to impact your business and some decisions that you can make in your commercial cleaning business to make sure that it's taken care of, to make sure that you're keeping your clients, and to make sure you stay profitable through it all no matter what happens. Now, to be clear, no one truly knows the fine details of how these things are going to work out, and things can always change. Different economic policy could be rolled out, and at the time of filming this video, we've seen a lot of changes happen very fast. So I'm not going to pick a side. I'm just going to explain how you can best prepare. If you don't know who I am, my name is Matt. I'm your seven-figure commercial cleaning CEO. I built a commercial cleaning company up from scratch. We actually went through the pandemic and survived that recession and that decline as well. So we've seen these happen, and we know how to build a business through it. Okay, so let's take the scenario of, with these tariffs that have been discussed by our government, what's going to happen if they stay in place? Well, let's go to some quick economics to understand this. What we have here is a supply and demand curve. So because a lot of people love coffee, let's say that this supply and demand curve represents coffee. So right here, we have the supply curve itself. Then over here, we have the demand curve. And right here where they intersect is where we have the price at the equilibrium. And so let's say this coffee is produced in country. We're not trading, we're not getting it from anywhere else. And so what that means is that this side over here creates a triangle. And this triangle, the whole surface area of this, is called the total economic surplus. And this total economic surplus is made of two other surpluses. On this top half, above the equilibrium price, is we have the consumer surplus. This is simply the benefit that a consumer experiences when they buy, say, a coffee, but they were willing to pay more for it. And so that's what that surface area is. And then below the equilibrium price is we have what's called the producer surplus. Simply put, this is the benefit that the producer receives. You could say profit, right? So this is, they were willing to settle for this lower end of the price, but they were able to sell it for this equilibrium price. And so the difference between those two is the producer surplus. It's their gain. Now, because we live in the world of trade that we do today, that means that we can import coffee at a lower price than we can produce it internally. So the price of coffee actually moves down this demand curve and the supply curve. So what does that do? As you can see here, that dramatically boosted the demand because the price is lower, right? You're going to buy more coffee if it's lower priced. But it also really squeezed tight and reduced the producer surplus. It means that there's less benefit to being a coffee producer. So how do tariffs play into this? Well, what a tariff does is it is a tax on an import. And typically the one who actually pays that tax is the one doing the importing. So the country that sends it over is not paying the tax. It's the person inside our country who pays that tax when they try to take it or bring it to our country from another. So in this simplified scenario of looking at a supply and demand curve, that tax essentially increases the price above that world trade level, essentially decreasing the consumer surplus and increasing the producer surplus. And then this little area right here is the actual tax revenue going to the government, and there's some loss along the edges. Okay, so I know we're not all economic majors, so what can we do as commercial cleaning business owners in environments like this? First, we need to understand that typically in these environments, prices do go up. So that means prices on equipment, prices for mops, caddies, vacuums, any floor machines, even the paper towels and any of the bathroom tissue, any of that hand soap, all of these things can be affected, end up going up in price. Now, knowing that, we also remember from our supply and demand curve that demand is going to decrease because of those price adjustments. And that just simply means that we should probably be more efficient with the equipment and the supplies that we have. So if your cleaning teams are not performing regular maintenance on your equipment after the cleanings, maybe they need to do it once a week. Some equipment needs managed daily, but be sure that they're taking care of the equipment that you have. Because the reality of it is, if things continue and if it works out like a simple supply and demand curve does, then it's going to cost you more money if they aren't making sure that you don't have to keep buying more. This also applies to the consumable side of the business, primarily to paper towels, because I know that a lot of commercial cleaning companies don't just use microfiber towels, they might exclusively or primarily use paper towels. And this simply means that the price for paper towels could be going up, and we don't know exactly how significantly right now. But if your team is burning through paper towels and using them wastefully, and they're not folding them properly and using them to their maximum ability, then that's going to increase your cost. But if they have not been as efficient as they could be, and they just use them a little bit more efficiently, and to make sure they get the job done, they're just folding it a few more times, then you shouldn't see a cost difference. Another cost saver would be to be sure to use concentrates. A concentrate is where you get a chemical in a jug, typically in gallon bottles, and you mix it with water. Whereas an already diluted solution, such as like 409, that is something that's not going to last you as long as, say, a concentrate jug. Now, to be clear, we don't know exactly how much prices would fluctuate, how much they're going to move, what the availability of certain products are going to look like, but it's good to make sure that you use this opportunity, especially for your team, to motivate them, to get them on board with, we got to make sure we take care of our stuff. We got to make sure that we're using our stuff well. Now, outside of your team, let's move on to your clients. We really don't know if there's going to be any sort of recessionary outcomes from what's going on right now. We do see where the stock market had dropped into the bear market level, which typically is a sign that we're going into a recession. It's not always the case. It can just be we're full of fear right now and uncertainty in the market. And so what you need to do is apply that understanding to your clients. I would encourage you to anticipate how you would handle any clients that are stressed out about their businesses and the costs going on inside of their business. Because yes, from that supply and demand curve, which may be a bit oversimplified, it does look like businesses should benefit from something like tariffs. I'm not saying that that's the case. I'm not picking sides. We're here to find out. We're along for the ride either way. But getting there to any sort of benefit can be extremely painful, as we've seen so far. And that's not to say that everybody across the board is going to benefit the same either. There are some industries that continually struggle, and they might be some of your clients. So be ready for a conversation with your client. If you want to go ahead and head it off, or if they're going to be reaching out to you, you need to be ready to have a conversation about costs and about budget. Now, what you don't want to do is just get fired from your clients, right? Because technically, commercial cleaning is a very recession-resilient industry. What you do want to do is propose any adjustments to the scope of service. Now, the two things that you don't want to do is either just get fired from your client by surprise and not expected, and you also don't just want to reduce your price to keep your client. There is a way to do this in a way that's going to sustainably keep your business going with them. And that is this: just adjust the scope of service and the expectations around it. Then you can adjust their budget and their costs. So if you're going to reach out ahead of time to any clients you might anticipate that are having this issue, you can let them know, we understand what's going on here. We are willing to work with you. Here are some things that we can move to, say, weekly instead of daily, or to monthly instead of weekly. And here is how that can save you money. And that's for those clients you're feeling a little iffy about on the cost side. Now, for your other clients, what I would encourage you to do is not start throwing your money away and your work away. What you should do is be just as diligent, like you were with maintenance and caring for all of your supplies to reducing your costs there, but you really want to display your value to them, increase the levels of communication. For us, we use janitorial management software like Clean Smarts, and we have client portals in there where they can see what's going on with their services. We can communicate with them. We also are very communicative over email and over phone and all kinds of different ways to make sure that they can see the work that's being done, that we're actually helping them achieve their mission and to get through any uncertain times. If you are highly communicative with your clients, they are much less likely to come back and try to cut you out of any sort of monetary gain you're already getting in your business. I wish I could tell you that I knew exactly what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. I do know a little bit of economics. I hope you learned a little bit from that as well. But what you can do is control your business and make the decisions now and prepare now for any sort of contingencies that can happen in the marketplace. All that it really means is that we use the emotional energy and the fear and uncertainty that you may be experiencing now to improve your company so that it lasts through it and it comes out on the other side a far better company. This is the fire that creates gold. So if you want to accelerate the growth of your commercial cleaning company, check out the links down below. I'm Matt, your 7-figure commercial cleaning CEO, here to help you build an incredible commercial cleaning business. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, keep building.